with A Tale of Two Roses. Now, I want you to take a moment and think about Rosie the Riveter and what image pops into your head when you're thinking about Rosie. And most of you are going to think of this Rosie right here, our We Can Do It Rosie. This Rosie, the We Can Do It Rosie, is now currently the most famous Rosie the Riveter. That was not the case during World War II. You would have thought of this Rosie the Riveter image back during the war. But today, it is definitely We Can Do It Rosie. The We Can Do It Rosie is currently, on different types of products, ranging from pins, socks. I have my socks on, lunch boxes, mugs, bags, notebooks, all sorts of things, different advertisements. This Rosie has become truly iconic, but that was not the case during World War II. The We Can Do It Rosie was created by an artist named J. Howard Miller for Westinghouse Electric and Manufacturing Corporation. And Westinghouse made many different things during the war. They were an extremely important company. They still are in existence today. And they commissioned J. Howard Miller to create 42 propaganda posters for them. And they would display these posters in their factories throughout the Midwest especially. And that is exactly what this poster, this We Can Do It poster, was created for. It was displayed on between February 15th and 28th of 1943. It actually has the dates written down here. And it has a signature right here, J. Howard Miller. And it is got a very clear message. We can do it. And it's been really used and adopted and embraced by the community of women that we can do it. We can do everything. We are strong, we are capable, and that is, of course, an extremely important message that it portrays. But during World War II, it was also really showing that we can stick together, kind of like we need to be doing now in our current situation. We can do it. We can really stick together. We can work together. In World War II, they were working together. Today, we are sticking together, yet we're also remaining apart, at least 6 feet apart from each other. But it was really a message to show that, you're strong, you can do it. So remember that, as we take this situation day by day, and doing what we can day by day. And this poster was really showing, workers, we can stick together, we can work hard and get our job done. Now, what was that job? Well, the factory that this was displayed in most was a helmet liner factory. It made helmet liners for the metal helmets that the soldiers wore into battle. And these helmet liners were made out of a material called micarta, M-Y-C-A-R-T-A, micarta. And micarta, you might now have it in your home right now, or other places that you've been. It is now called Formica. And countertops and other items are made out of Formica. And the word Formica actually comes from the melding, like we also like to do today a lot, is taking two words and mushing them into one. And micarta and Formica, it actually comes from, the word Formica is formerly micarta, smushed together to make the word Formica. So next time you're in a restroom or a kitchen, look at the countertops. They might be made out of Formica, the same thing helmet liners were made out of in World War II. And these were, of course, a very, very important wartime essential material. And so these workers, it was really, really important that these women and these men in these factories were working and making these things. So the slogan, "We can do it," was really, really important. Now let's also look at the rest of the imagery. I like to say that this Rosie the Riveter just arrived at work. She is it really emphasizes the importance of femininity that they had back then. Notice her red lips. She's got very well manicured nails and fingers. Her face is perfectly clean, very, very airbrushed in a way. It's kind of the first form of Photoshop, so to speak. She has, you know, her full makeup, her hair is back in her famous bandana, and she's really showing that you can do all this great, strong work and still be very feminine, which was a very important message that they tried to send during World War II. Now, but she's also showing that she's tough. She can do it. She's showing her muscles. She's pulling up that shirt sleeve, and she's saying, I can do it. She has a very tough, reserved look on her face. She's saying, I can do this. The bandana that is very iconic for Rosie is very important. It helped hold these women's hair, their hair back to keep, for safety reasons. It kept their hair from falling in their face, getting caught in machinery and that kind of thing. And when you're up in pin curls and have the very famous 1940s waves hairstyle as well. All right, it shows that it was made too for the Westinghouse War Production Coordinating Committee down here on the bottom as well. Now, on to the most famous Rosie of World War II, the Norman Rockwell Rosie the Riveter. Now, Norman Rockwell is an extremely famous painter. This image, it's an actual painting first, and he created this image for the Saturday Evening Post for their Memorial Day edition on May 29th of 1943. So both of these Rosies came out in 1943. All right, and here is an actual copy of the cover of the Saturday Evening Post. And it was an extremely famous image at the time. All right, and Rockwell is known for his symbolism. He really put hidden meaning in absolutely everything he put in his paintings and his pictures. And so I really want you to look at this Rosie. And you might be thinking to yourself, but she's not actually riveting anything. Neither of them are actually. She's eating a sandwich. So how in the world is that showing her job? Well, actually trying to paint her riveting would have been much more difficult. And so gagging around. She is sitting there, she's eating her lunch, she's got her lunch box on her lap, and she's got a rivet gun so that as soon as she's done eating, she can put her lunch box to the side and pick it up and start working again. All right, because dedication to work was very, very important. All right, and this is her rivet gun right here. It's a very, very large, it would have been held against the sheet metal to shoot, and this would have been a handle. Here's the air hose that sends the high pressured air into the rivet gun to shoot these rivets into, in our case, the plane. All right, and that's why you'll notice she has some muscles. Lifting this rivet gun again and again would have caused her to, well, develop some muscle tone. In real life, the model for this particular Rosie, her name was Mary Doyle. She was a 19-year-old phone operator lived in, and so she agreed to be a model for him. And she was really actually very tall and slender because she wasn't actually a riveter, and so he kind of added some muscle tone to her to show the importance of and the strength that she had as a riveter. Now, you'll notice also in this image, she has on very patriotic color. She has on a blue shirt, her workman's overalls. They're a little larger, so they're rolled up for safety so she doesn't trip on her longer pants. She's wearing red socks. She's wearing a very American shoe, the penny loafer. All right, she's stepping very casually on Hitler's book, Mein Kampf, showing that she's going to stamp out the evil in the world. She has her different types of victory badges, a Red Cross badge on as well. And notice the way that she's looking very, very gracefully and legally and self-assured up in the photo, saying, I can do this. We can persevere. She's, of course, safety first. She's wearing her safety goggles pulled up and her safety mask that would have been pulled down, and then her mask pulled down in case of an errant rivet and that sort of thing. All right, of course, there is the American flag in the background to show her patriotism. She's got her protective wrist cuff, and that would have been the hand that came down here on the nozzle of the rivet gun. And she's very much looking like, I can do this. Her hair is pulled back for safety, and you'll notice a very important feature here. She has a halo, because she is like an angel for America. It is showing the rightness of her cause. Now, after this came out in the Saturday Evening Post as the cover, a newspaper in Kansas wrote a newspaper article that showed that Norman Rockwell really was known too for his playful, irreverent sense of humor. He mixed in very serious messages, but he always had a note of kind of mystery and do you see this, can you catch it, to his images. And so he actually used Michelangelo's Isaiah from the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel as the model for the pose that Rosie the Riveter actually has. And a newspaper in Kansas City, the Kansas was called by God to stamp out the evil and wickedness in the world. And just the same, Rosie is stamping out the evil by stepping on the book Mein Kampf. And so it really shows in many different ways how Rosie really was showing that patriotic propaganda that World War II is known for. It was them to really rally and people together so that they could remember as well that they can do it, they can stick together, and that together we can make it through World War II and all of this uncertainty. There are, of course, many other Rosie propaganda posters, but these are by far the most famous of the two. Okay, so I would like to thank you for joining me today. If